Yeah.
You kind of are.
Let me do
what?
it. I have good morals. Okay, I'm a great person. I don't con people.
Okay, sorry. Dexterous.
That's
Good with my hands.
Like ambidextrous.
Good with my
Okay, this
hands.
is Shannon.
You're
Gregarious.
attacking me. Social.
Social and outgoing. Shannon.
Hi, I'm Shannon.
Yeah.
We're with the West Carolina.
Alright guys, this is really hard to answer.
Oh, wow.
I just think I'm stranger
I'm
things.
hearing you guys talk.
Alright, I spelled this wrong, so.
Oh,
That's facetious.
Yeah.
Facetious. Say it properly.
We're supposed to ignore you.
Yeah.
Vicarious is to live through someone, or
or
an experience.
yeah. Ostentatious is very flashy. Scrupulous is
I don't know any of them.
good judgment of morals. Dexterous is very talented or intelligent. Just think of like
I'm in.
Hold your hands.
like why not? Okay. Gregarious is
It's really awesome. It's really
Good morning, guys. How's everybody today? Good. Good. We're going to start today with this prompt. Is fear a good way to persuade someone? Yesterday in class, when I was asking you to tell me a time somebody had persuaded you to do something, I had a lot of kids writing to me about how their parents scared them into doing stuff. That's not persuasion particularly, but let's talk about it. Is it a good way to persuade somebody? Because a lot of people do stuff out of fear, do they not? What are some of the benefits and drawbacks of using fear to persuade people? I want you to write about this for about 10 minutes. If you get done, I want you to go on to do this. How do writers use words to create fear in readers? Does everybody remember when we read Poe?
Yeah.
All right. When we read Poe, he created suspense, did he not? How did he do that? How did that work? How, Zoe?
He created a good background for it, and then once he just kept building everything up.
How? How did he build things up? It's words on a page. How does that create fear or suspense in you? You know you're in a room with words, right? But how does it kind of start creeping into you?
It's just like the tone of the words
Tone.
in the story.
Tone. Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say that it's the imagery he uses to create like a setting and that you can like relate to.
Imagery. Clutch. Imagery. Tone. All of these things he uses to create in you this feeling. So, think about it when you're reading. Pay attention to the words that are used. Pay attention to the way the language pay attention to the way it rolls out. Because a good writer doesn't give you everything in the first sentence. A good writer lets you discover slowly through suspense, language, imagery, tone, mood, all these things. That's why this is important for you all to know how this works. Thank you. Okay. So, who wants to respond to the prompt? Eugene.
Sometimes fear is a good way to persuade somebody. For example, you should persuade a little kid not to put his hand in the snapping turtle's mouth. It won't feel good, and the kid will not do that out of fear of getting bit. But most times, fear is not a good way to persuade someone. It would lead to him or her not overcoming obstacles because it's scary. For example, the Salem witch trials was an event that occurred when people got persuaded into fear by religious people, and that led to burning or placing rocks on innocent women to death.
Wow, very nice. I love the way you put a historical context into that. It added a little bit of depth to what he was saying, did it not? Yeah. And as it happens, we're going to talk about the Puritans today. So, who else? Athena, read yours.
I said fear is not a good
Bad things, right, Eric? Is that possible?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about how writers use fear. We talked a little bit about Poe earlier. One of the words and one of the things I want you to look for is a term called loaded language. Who can remind me what that means? Lily. Oop. What is loaded language? You remember?
No.
Anybody? Zoe.
Isn't it like just language or like words that just come with a lot of feeling and make you feel sometimes.
What is the word? What is our special word for words with feeling? Just to build a little bit of background with this, over 100 years ago, after the Puritans came, maybe 100 years in, they had a pretty established societies. But why did the Puritans come to the United States, or at that time, America, colonial America? Why?
Religious freedom.
Religious freedom. But when they got here, they found people kind of like were straying away. And that was upsetting a lot of the people who were in charge. And this guy, Jonathan Edwards, was one of the leading people at the time, and he felt that the congregations were getting a little satisfied, and they weren't digging down deep enough. So he wanted everybody to work a little harder to get right with God. So he gave this speech, and it has come down the pike as being one of the more important speeches of the Puritan era, because we don't have a whole lot of writing from that time or anything else. And I want you guys to hear what little Puritan children would have heard when they were sitting in these hard wooden pews getting this pep talk from Jonathan Edwards. Everybody turn to page 17 in your workbook. I also want you to put this chart in your notebook. We are going to be looking for loaded language as we read this. So make yourself a little chart, label it loaded language in sinners in the hands of an angry God. Now, this is an excerpt. When you see a little quotation mark around the title and it has a little word from, what does that mean? It's an excerpt. It's not the entire sermon. This is just a part of the sermon. So I want you to look for examples of loaded language. If you can start identifying what creates mood and tone and persuasion in an article, it will benefit you when you're reading more modern day stuff. And because this one is so strong, I thought that we could, very, very clearly pick it out. So when you read a more subtle one, it might benefit you. I am going to stop the tape from time to time and ask you questions, which I would like you to answer in your notebook. But do be keeping an eye out for, please keep an eye out for the loaded language in here. This sermon took place in 1741. He was a Puritan minister. Everybody knows what a minister is?
Yes.
What is a minister? Yeah.
He's like a speaker for the church.
Yeah, he's a religious leader. So, what we're going to do here is begin the tape. Everybody ready? Read along. Write any questions you may have down. I will stop the tape from time to time, and you will answer questions. Hands of an Angry God by Jonathan Edwards.
From Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God by Jonathan Edwards. We find it easy to tread on and crush a worm that we see crawling on the earth. So it is easy for us to cut or singe a slender thread that anything hangs by. Thus easy is it for God when he pleases to cast his enemies down to hell.
All right, opening paragraph. What do we got? What's he saying? What?
As easy it is for us to kill random stuff that you use for God.
Yeah. So what tone is he setting in the opening paragraph? He's saying, you know how easy it is for you to go like that to a bug? That's how easy it is for God to do that to you. What tone do we have in the first, just straight out of the gate? Yes.
Aggressive.
It's kind of aggressive. Is this how you're used to being spoken to 200, 300 years later? Absolutely not. It's an interesting thing how tone has
They are now the objects of that very same anger and wrath of God that is expressed in the torments of hell. And the reason why they do not go down to hell in each moment is not because God, in whose power they are, is not then very angry with them, as angry as he is with many miserable creatures now tormented in hell, who there feel and bear the fierceness of his wrath. Yea, God is a great deal more angry with great numbers that are now on earth, yea, doubtless, with many that are now in this congregation, who it may be are at ease, than he is with many of those who are now in the flames of hell.
Okay, so what is he saying here? Somebody clarify, paraphrase and clarify. Pradesh.
That when God basically isn't like angry with like the people in hell right now. I was just more angry like with his people actually be faithful to him that are in the audience.
Yeah, he's saying, you know what? God's taking care of the ones in hell already. It's you people he's really mad at. How's this making you feel? Can you imagine being a 6-year-old sitting there listening to this?
I would not.
I would
like that.
I would too.
So that it is not because God is unmindful of their wickedness, and does not resent it, that he does not let loose his hand and cut them off. God is not altogether such an one as themselves, though they may imagine him to be so. The wrath of God burns against them, their damnation does not slumber. The pit is prepared, the fire is made ready, the furnace is now hot, ready to receive them. The flames do now rage and glow.
I want you to notice the way he puts that list together right there. That is a really, really, really effective way to make a point, is give a list of things that will happen or that has occurred to people. I don't know if you guys remember the Whitman we read, the song of the open road, but Walt Whitman used that, where he would do lists of things, and it's a really, really, really effective way to reach people and to get them to, because if you miss a couple things in the list, you won't miss all of them.
The glittering sword is whet and held over them, and the pit hath opened its mouth under them. Unconverted men walk over the pit of hell on a rotten covering, and there are innumerable places in this covering so weak that they will not bear their weight, and these places are not seen. The arrows of death fly unseen at noonday. The sharpest sight cannot discern them. God has so many different unsearchable ways of taking wicked men out of the world and sending them to hell, that there is nothing to make it appear that God had need to be at the expense of a miracle, or go out of the ordinary course of his providence to destroy any wicked man at any moment.
I'm going to stop it here. I want you all to write in your notebook, what is the main idea of what he's talking about so far? Write that down. Clarify, summarize, put that in your notebook. What so far are you getting from this sermon? All right, the turn in this whole thing, where it's almost like the way he gets you, he's turned you into the lowliest creature on the planet. Then all of a sudden, he goes, but there's an answer. There's hope. There's help for you. When you're beat down that low, and there's an option now, what do you think you're going to do? You're taking it, man. You're going to take it, and you're going to be happy you can get a hold of it, are you not? Yeah. So, how persuasive would this have been? Extremely. You would have walked up out of there ready to just give your life over to do whatever this man told you. This is why these people were so powerful. Words have power. Words motivate an entire nation. If the Puritans had not had this type of motivation, what would have happened to this country, do you think? How would we have gone? If they all just decided to go everywhere willy-nilly and not follow this guy and pull together and do the right thing, would it have been good for this country? I mean, we'll never know, right? We never really will know. But it did cause them to work together as a group. It caused them to have common goals. It was an important turning about, it was an important time in history that people needed to pull together. And this was the type of thing they used to pull together. Any questions? We're going to finish this up tomorrow because we're out of time for today. But good job. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. And then we'll move into the Revolution and that type of persuasive language. Woo! That's a little bit more fun. Thank you.